we can't omit the fact that J.R. Tolkien was a very, very serious, very traditionalist Roman Catholic, that his Catholic faith suffuses his writing and his vision of the medieval past. If you've gotten to the end of our excerpt from On Fairy Stories, or just gotten to the end of the On Fairy Stories essay, you will see how explicit and confident he is in his religious beliefs, which are highly specific. I want to talk about why I want to talk first about how the Catholicism works in this book, but maybe even more importantly, why people who are not Catholic or Christian at all still enjoy this book. Why this book, though informed by a deep religious faith, has actually become entertaining for people from very different religious faiths or no faiths at all. You can find plenty of people on the Tolkien chat boards who are deep dyed atheists, but they love this book. It's worth talking about why. First, let me talk a few ways about how the religion actually works. Too short a video to describe all of it. I want to talk about the magic, then I want to talk about the morals, then we'll talk about why this is working when, even for people who are pretty much allergic to other highly religious or highly ideological or political literature. Okay. First, you should understand that the way this is the magic is largely about takes for granted that there is a spiritual realm that, in good Neoplatonic form, Tolkien takes as kind of superior to this one. I want to point out two moments. I want to take my man Glorfindel, who doesn't show up in either movie version of the Fellowship of the Ring, who's left out of Peter Jackson, who is always combined, has his character functions always combined with another character to streamline the screenplay. In the movie, Glorfindel is just folded into Arwen, and on the Jackson movie, in the movie back in the 70s, he was folded into Legolas. Legolas showed up instead of Glorfindel. And there's a moment at the very end, on the last page of book one, The Falling the Ford, Frodo is about to pass out, and it's beyond the riders. And it seemed to him that he saw behind the riders that hesitated on the shore a shining figure of white light, and behind it ran small shadowy forms waving flames that flared red in the gray mist that was falling over the world. So he has this vision of this white light. A chapter later, he asks, he asks, he asks Gandalf about this. He says, "I thought I saw a white figure that shone and did not grow dim like the others. Was that Glorfindel then?" And Gandalf says, "Yes. You saw him for a moment as he is upon the other side, one of the mighty of the firstborn." Okay. There's another world in this in Middle Earth, there's another world, a spiritual world, the other side, which is at least as real or more fundamentally real than the phenomenal world. If this seems mystical to you, this Western European thought has went with this for a long time, starting with Plato. Western Christianity definitely logged on to it. One of the things that's happening with time and again in the novel, you won't see this in the movie, one character will look at another character and seem to see that, like, okay, there's to see them different. Like something's looming beyond that person. Like, okay, Gandalf is this old man, and like sometimes you'll say, oh, there's something looming behind him. He's actually this bigger spiritual thing. Yes, Gandalf on the other side is a big, powerful thing. On this side, he seems to be an old man. This is also this is also a world where you can have emotions that come from you from outside, that the influence of other powers has an effect on your spirit, on your will. The ring is one of them. Bilbo, but not only Bilbo, is often, I'm sorry, Frodo, and not only, but not only Frodo, is often dealing with feelings that come to him from the outside, from some other spiritual force. It's not psychoanalytic. It's not like about his relationship with his mom or self-doubt. It's like the ring makes him feel certain ways. He feels a reluctance to run. Sauron can do it. Gandalf can speak to him. Those are real things. That is part of how the magic of the Lord of the Ring works. It's also, and you won't see this in the films, these characters are constantly, fairly regularly having visions. You will see little things They will see, like, Bilbo has a dream vision of seeing, he sees Gandalf on top of a tower and doesn't know why, right? They see things and they don't understand what they are. Galadriel can show you things in the mirror, but it's also the point that the things you see in vision, characters see in visions in Lord of the Rings will be explained later, but isn't something to puzzle out. It's just a little, you don't know what that means. You will find out later. That's important too. I will also say morally, this this trilogy, this massive 3-volume novel, takes for granted that the most important decisions you make are moral decisions. In the shadow of the past, where Gandalf and Bilbo recap what's happened up till now, and I'm sorry, I keep calling Frodo Bilbo. Frodo. Frodo and Gandalf recap what's happened up to now and kind of get us up to speed for the new much darker adventure. There's a famous moment where, like, Frodo says, "Well, Gollum deserves to die," and Gandalf, speaking from a very conventional strand of Christian morale, says, "Yeah, but he deserves to. But who are you to give it to him? All right, lots of people deserve to die. Lots of people deserve to live. Can you give that to them? You are not the judge of life and death." There's also a sense, and it's very clear in the shadow of the past, that there is a larger plan, that there is a plan, there's providence that is underlying things, that there is a power at work, a power that goes unnamed. They never name check, they never name check the deity. They don't even use the name for the deity that shows up in Tolkien's other writings, his posthumously published writings like the Silmarillion or the Book of Lost Tales. No one says Eru Iluvatar, but that's who they mean. There's a larger and fundamentally benign power at work in the universe, and it's choosing people. I want to come back to that. And actually, Frodo and Gandalf have a discussion about why Bilbo was chosen. There's another thing here about the morality. Tolkien is keenly aware, because the medieval literature he works on is keenly aware, that there is a deep friction between the apex predators of the warrior aristocrats who ran medieval Europe. They're warrior aristocrats. Their values are wealth and violence. Am I oversimplifying that? Not much. And the actual Christian moral beliefs taught in the Gospels. Jesus doesn't look a lot like your standard Nordic warlord. Or rather, Nordic warlords aren't a lot like Jesus. There are two value systems at work here, and their attention. Their intention. You don't want to throw away all your adventure stories. You don't want to throw away. You don't want to get rid of Beowulf. You don't want to get rid of the Battle of Malden. But you also have to put it into conversation with a very different set of morals, where violence is not the answer, where the lords and owners of our world are small potatoes in the cosmic scale, where spiritual and moral virtues are more important than physical force or even military virtues. The hero of our trilogy is someone who's got moral courage more than physical courage, who's got to deal with. Frodo's path is about temptation and struggling with temptation. It is about sacrifice. It is about suffering. That it's not about winning fights. It's about the willingness to undertake this painful pilgrimage into what is literally and figuratively a terrifying desert. You might not think of Mordor as a desert. It is. In the older sense of the word, it's a place without people. It is unpeopled. It is deserted, and there is no water to drink in Mordor. Trust me. This Tolkien is going to keep the daring do, the adventures, the warfare, but with the sense that it's all unwritten. That is all the sideshow, and by the end, that is literally the distraction from for like, and i.e. the way to distract the main bad guy from the real quest, which where violence is incidental at best, where the willingness to suffer and to take risks and to struggle with your own soul is what makes this happen. Frodo is suffering in a very generally but not specifically Christian way. Let me go back to why this doesn't repel people who generally don't want to read Christian literature. Um, Frodo Frodo asks why is it? I am not made, says it on page 95, this is chapter 2, The Shadow of the Past. I am not made for perilous quests. And yeah, you're not, Frodo. You're not that kind of quest. You're not a dragon slayer. Dragon slayers aren't what's necessary. I wish I had never seen the ring. Why did it come to me? Why was I chosen? Such questions cannot be answered, said Gandalf. You may be sure that it was not for any merit that others do not possess, not for power or wisdom at any rate. But you have been chosen, and you must therefore use such strength and heart and wits as you have. Okay, but I have so little of anything. So you're wise, and I'm not worthy. This is a classic in many religions, especially the three Abrahamic religions. The chosen one says I'm not worthy, and the God of Abraham is like, yeah, I know, but I chose you. Gandalf outright states that there's an underlying providential plan. Gandalf does not pretend to know what that is. Gandalf does not pretend he knows this. Now, also, Gandalf is, if you read some of the backstory, you might be like, so, and you'll find on the internet, he's a Maiar, he's like this spiritual being, and yeah, on the other side he is. This is another very Catholic thing. Don't make the mistake of thinking that Gandalf is really who he is on the other side, to the exclusion of who he is in the phenomenal world. He is also, and this is a very Catholic way of thinking, he is a major spiritual force with great magical powers. He is also an old man whose joints ache sometimes, who's in a body and living in it. He needs, at one point he needs a smoke. He does forget he's tired. He needs a smoke. He needs to sleep sometimes. He's got it. He's fully embodied, and that body is as real as the spiritual side. Gandalf Gandalf is not here, and no one in this book is here to tell you what God's plan is. And this is one of the reasons it's different. There are weaker, tendentious novels that where people will try to explain to you the divine or political or economic or whatever it is theory in very simple ways. You just have to do these six things. This is what the plan is. Gandalf Gandalf's not there to explain the plan. Gandalf's like, no, we actually have to be attentive. We have to listen, try to discern. We have to try to figure out what the plan is. I don't know the plan. No one knows. That question, why was Frodo chosen? Such questions cannot be answered. You will never know. There is a spiritual humility here that is the reason I think that Tolkien is getting away with this. Lots of you can read a novel. You can read a novel. I have read novels written by people who shared my political religious beliefs, who were so heavy handed with it, I believed in those things less when I was done. Tolkien and I might not agree on every single thing, but Tolkien isn't telling me to believe a checklist. He's saying you should be attuned to what the higher power might want you to do. That you shouldn't, he is not telling you what to think. He is telling you to listen. He's telling you to be attentive. Gandalf is, and Tolkien is too. It's, he's not, it's, he is asking you to actually open your mind to a possible spiritual dimension, even if you don't believe in it. Even if you don't believe it, that's okay. It doesn't hurt you to listen.